What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with more of the Velvet Fog, aka Mel Torme. Thank you once again to Kim for providing this excellent and unique copy of Mel Torme in Hollywood. And we're jumping over the Christmas song because I reacted to that last holiday season, and we're going to listen to the next track in the playlist, which is A Stranger in Town, and it's listed as being written by Torme and exclusively Torme. So yes, this is one of his own. And a stranger in town, someone who's new, and if it's a smaller town, they're going to get a lot of attention because they are an outsider, and while that might not be a negative thing, it could just be pure curiosity or interest, or at the very least an attempt to understand where they came from and why they're here. There is, of course, a setting apart of the locals and this stranger. I wonder if Mel, the narrator, is the stranger, or whether he's appraising someone who's come into a community he's already part of. Let's see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Mel Torme. The song is A Stranger in Town, and it's included in a compilation album, Mel Torme in Hollywood.
Just arrived on the 710. Thought I'd see the old gang again. But you know how they come and go. I'm just a stranger in town. Everyone I see seems to wonder who I can be. And I swear no one seems to care about a stranger in town. I saw a cottage on a lonely old street. The weeds have grown round the gate. Somehow I felt that you would wait here, my sweet. But it looks like I'm too late. Guess I'll leave on the 12:02. Can't believe that there's no more you. Is there nothing for me? Will I always be a stranger in my own hometown? I asked around, but no one knew you by name. I wonder where you are now. I always hoped that things would be just the same, and that you'd wait for me somehow. Guess I'll leave on the 12:02. Now that you have found someone new. Is there nothing for me? Will I always be a stranger in my own hometown? It hurts to be alone with no one of your own when you're a stranger in your own town. Thank you. They're awful nice. Thank you very much.
They are awful nice. Yeah, again, I love the intimate sound of this. Like, obviously, there's some people there, but it doesn't sound like, a big auditorium. It sounds like a small club. It sounds like, almost a a cafe or something where people are, sipping. You can hear like cups being set down and so on. So there's a real intimacy to these live performances. Secondarily, it's clever, right? Like in a way, it went against what I was thinking in advance. It's his own hometown. It's not a town where he's come in as a complete stranger, but more on that in a moment. And it's actually the opposite. People aren't curious who he is or where he's came from. People are like, who are you? Like, you say you're from around here. You're asking about who or about whom. So yeah, there's a shift. In fact, it's really interesting because it's like there's a specific narrative here and a very personal, autobiographical one, even if it's for the character, not necessarily Mel himself in his real life. But it's also touching on some broader issues, the passage of time, historical nostalgia, our perception of what a place is in our minds versus what it is in practice, the demographic turnover, the way people move, they go different places, like families that lived in one place for a long time aren't there, decades later, and people don't know the history of some of these houses and places. So yeah, it's getting at these larger processes of human experience and settlements, towns, villages, and so on, and doing it through the eyes of someone who again went away, maybe been on tour, has been living in other places, but who knew an old gang here, and oops, they're not even here anymore. And then there's clearly a girl, someone who meant a lot to him. It's unclear to me if they ever actually were together, or if he kind of carried a torch for this girl and thought that maybe he could go away and she'd still be there. My assumption is they did have some form of connection previously, maybe again in high school or something like that. But now he's come back, and not only is she not there, not only is maybe her family house. I didn't know if it was her house or his house, but the weeds are like growing over, the picket fence is maybe in disrepair, so like there's a metaphor in terms of this house as it relates to the emotional connection of the narrator and this woman. But we eventually learn it's not just that she moved on, she moved away, and he's wondering where she went, but that she seemingly found somebody else, and that's why she's not there anymore. That's why she's not still at her old family house and in the old streets that he's now walking along, where people again don't really know who he is. They're like, oh, did you actually used to live here? I don't remember you. So yeah, there's an implication that he's been away for a while, and the people have changed, the emotions have changed, the physical environment has changed, and he's taking stock of it all, feeling quite sad about it, fair to say, but also wondering where they are and why it didn't work out the way it could have, and lamenting that she apparently found somebody else. So it's a really reflective song. It's a song that I think is well written, both in terms of the visuals that we're getting, but also again these larger issues and narratives that may be familiar to a lot of people, even if you didn't come from a small town, even if some old flame that you had moved on when you came back looking for them. It's like the kind of storytelling that I think will resonate even if you haven't had an identical experience. So yeah, and it's like really sweet emotionally. Like his vocals I think convey the feeling of the tune. Now he goes down low in times. He's very smooth and lyrical at other times of this vocal delivery. The piano here really just an accompanying element. It's like his voice that's front and center. I don't think there's anything else other than piano. I don't think we heard the clarinet on this one. So yeah, just the soft and light piano. Although there were some chords at the end which drove home the, let's say, emotional resonance that the tune is conveying. Also, though, again, like ending with a light little flourish. So yeah, a beautiful performance once again from Mel. Let me know what you think. Shout out once again to Kim for this compilation and much, much else. And I will see you for the next one. Peace.